The year is 537 AD. Constantinople. You're standing in the shadow of the greatest architectural marvel the world has ever seen. Workers strain against ropes, hauling massive stone blocks high into the air. Each block weighs more than a modern car. The sound of hammers on stone echoes through the morning air. This is the Hagia Sophia. And the man overseeing this impossible feat is Isidore of Miletus, a mathematician and engineer. His watching workers suspend a dome so massive that it seems to defy physics. The dome spans 100 feet across and weighs 65,000 tons. It hangs in mid-air with no visible support. How did they do it? Welcome to the world of lost technologies. Ancient secrets that have stumped modern scientists for centuries. Today, we're exploring 7 incredible technologies that our ancestors mastered, but we somehow forgot. Technologies so advanced that even with all our modern tools, we still can't recreate them. Let's uncover the impossible. Damascus steel, the blade that couldn't be broken. Picture this. It's 1191. The Third Crusade is raging across the Holy Land. A European knight raises his finest steel sword, forged by England's best smiths. He brings it down with crushing force onto his opponent's curved blade. His sword shatters into pieces. The Muslim warrior's blade? Not even a scratch. That blade was made of Damascus steel, the most legendary metal in human history. For over 500 years, from roughly 300 AD to 1700 AD, Middle Eastern smiths created swords that seemed supernatural. These weren't just weapons. They were works of art. The steel had flowing patterns that looked like water frozen in time. But here's what made them legendary. They could cut through European swords like butter, yet bend almost 90 degrees without breaking. The secret was a special steel called woods, imported from India. But it wasn't just the material. It was what the smiths did with it. They heated it, folded it, hammered it. But exactly how? At what temperature? For how long? Nobody knows. The last true Damascus steel was forged in the early 1700s. When the wood steel supply ran out, the knowledge died with it. Modern metallurgists have tried everything. Electron microscopes, computer modeling, temperature sensors accurate to the exact degree. They've discovered that Damascus steel contains carbon nanotubes, structures we only learned about in 1991. But recreate it? Still impossible. If we can't recreate a sword today, imagine trying to build something the size of a mountain. The Great Pyramid's precision, engineering the impossible. The sand crunches beneath your sandals as you walk across the Giza Plateau. The year is 2560 BC. You are Hemiunu, the architect chosen by Pharaoh Khufu himself. In front of you lies the most ambitious construction project in human history. 2.3 million stone blocks. Each one cut with laser precision. Each one weighing as much as a modern pickup truck. And you have to stack them 480 feet high, perfectly. But here's what would make even today's engineers weep. You have to align this massive structure to true north with an accuracy of just 3/60th of a degree. That's more precise than most modern buildings. Fast forward 4,500 years. We've put men on the moon. We've built computers that fit in our pockets. We've mapped the human genome. But we still have no idea how the Egyptians achieved this level of precision. Think about it. No cranes. No bulldozers. No laser levels. No GPS. Not even iron tools. They were still in the Bronze Age. Yet somehow, they created something so perfectly engineered that the margin of error across the entire 13-acre base is less than the width of your thumb. Modern construction companies have tried to replicate just one aspect. Moving 70-ton granite blocks from a quarry 500 miles away. With all our technology, it would cost billions and take decades. The Egyptians did it in 20 years. But that's not even the strangest part. Recent discoveries show that the Great Pyramid's dimensions encode the mathematical constant pi and the golden ratio. Coincidence? Or did they know something we don't? Speaking of impossible construction, there's a Roman invention that still baffles scientists today. Self-healing Roman concrete, the mix that lasted millennia. The Mediterranean waves crash endlessly against the harbor walls of Caesarea. For 2,000 years, they've pounded these concrete structures with relentless force. Any modern concrete would have crumbled to dust centuries ago. But Roman concrete? It's actually getting stronger. In 2017, marine biologists diving near ancient Roman ports made a shocking discovery. The concrete wasn't just surviving. It was actively repairing itself. Growing. Healing. How is this possible? The Romans mixed their concrete with volcanic ash from Mount Vesuvius. Not just any volcanic ash. A specific type called pozzolan. When seawater touches this ancient concrete, it triggers a chemical reaction that creates new binding minerals. It's like the concrete has an immune system. Today's concrete lasts maybe 50 years before it starts cracking. Roman concrete has lasted 2,000 years and counting. We've analyzed samples under electron microscopes. We know the exact chemical composition. We understand the science behind why it works. But recreate it? We're still trying. The specific volcanic ash they used is no longer available. The exact ratios? Lost. The mixing techniques? Gone forever. Every year, we spend billions replacing crumbling bridges and buildings. The Romans solved this problem 2 millennia ago, and then we forgot. But if you think Roman engineering was impressive, wait until you see what they did with fire. Greek fire, the ancient flamethrower. The horizon glows orange against the black night sky. You're a sailor in the Byzantine fleet, and terror grips your heart. Arab ships fill the harbor. Hundreds of them, closing in on Constantinople. This is it. The end of the Byzantine Empire. Then you hear the order, "Ready the Greek fire." What happens next defies explanation. Jets of liquid flame shoot from your ship's bronze tubes. The fire doesn't just burn. It burns on water. The enemy ships try to douse the flames with seawater, but that only makes it worse. The fire spreads, clings, refuses to die. Within hours, the entire Arab fleet is destroyed. Constantinople is saved. The Byzantine Empire survives another 800 years. All because of a secret weapon that seemed like magic. Greek fire was the ancient world's most closely guarded military secret. The formula was known by only a handful of people, passed down through generations of the same family. It could burn on water. It couldn't be extinguished with normal methods. It stuck to whatever it touched like napalm. The secret died with the fall of Constantinople in 1453. The last keepers of the formula took it to their graves. Modern chemists have theories. Maybe it was crude oil mixed with quicklime. Maybe sulfur and naphtha. Maybe something else entirely. But nobody knows for sure. In an age where we can synthesize almost any chemical compound, where we've mapped every element on the periodic table, one ancient formula remains uncrackable. From mysterious chemical weapons to impossible mechanical marvels. The Antikythera mechanism, the world's first computer. The bronze gears gleam in the lamplight as Hipparchus makes his final calculations. Outside, the storm rages. The ship pitches violently in the Mediterranean swells. In his hands, he holds humanity's most sophisticated invention. A device so advanced that nothing like it will exist again for 1,500 years. The ship is going down. In 1901, Greek sponge divers discovered something impossible in a shipwreck off the island of Antikythera. What looked like a corroded chunk of bronze turned out to be the most sophisticated mechanical device from the ancient world. At first, archaeologists didn't know what to make of it. Bronze gears? In ancient Greece? Impossible. They assumed it was from a much later period. Maybe medieval. Maybe Renaissance. Then they dated it, 87 BC. This device could predict eclipses decades in advance. It tracked the movements of the planets, calculated the timing of the Olympic Games. It had 37 meshing bronze gears, differential gears that wouldn't be reinvented until the 1600s. It was essentially a mechanical computer, built 2,000 years before we thought such technology was possible. We've used CT scans, 3D modeling, and computer simulations to understand how it worked. We can see every gear, every inscription, every mechanical detail. But here's what's truly mind-blowing. This wasn't a one-off creation. The sophistication of the engineering suggests there were workshops making these devices. Multiple examples. Entire schools of craftsmen who understood gear ratios and mechanical engineering at a level we thought was impossible for ancient times. So where are the rest of them? Where are the instruction manuals? The blueprints? The workshops? All gone. All lost. But mechanical marvels are one thing. What about technologies that seem to bend the laws of physics themselves? Flexible glass, the invention too dangerous to exist. The craftsman approaches the throne with trembling hands. In his grasp, he holds a drinking cup that looks like ordinary glass. Clear, delicate, beautiful. Emperor Tiberius examines it with bored interest. Just another trinket brought before the most powerful man in the world. Then the craftsman does something extraordinary. He drops it. The cup hits the marble floor with a sharp clink. But instead of shattering into 1,000 pieces, it dents. Like metal. The craftsman picks it up, hammers out the dent with a small tool, and presents it to the emperor once again. Perfect. Unbroken. As if nothing had happened. What happens next changes the course of history. Emperor Tiberius asks the question that seals the craftsman's fate. Does anyone else know how to make this? No, Caesar. Only I know the secret. Tiberius has the man executed on the spot. This story, recorded by Roman historians Pliny the Elder and Petronius, tells of Vitrium flexile. Flexible glass. A material that combined the transparency of glass with the durability of metal. Think about the implications. Unbreakable windows. Flexible screens. Impact-resistant containers. This technology could have revolutionized everything from architecture to warfare. But Tiberius understood something else. If glass couldn't break, what would happen to the Roman economy? The glass industry employed thousands. The military depended on traditional materials. The social order itself might collapse. So he destroyed the technology and the man who created it. Today, we're just beginning to develop flexible glass technologies. Companies like Corning spend billions trying to create bendable screens and unbreakable glass. We're essentially trying to reinvent something a Roman craftsman perfected 2,000 years ago. From technologies destroyed by fear to technologies lost through hubris. The Baghdad battery, electricity before Edison. In the House of Wisdom, the greatest library in the medieval world, a scholar named Al-Razi conducts an experiment that won't be understood for another 1,000 years. He takes a clay jar, inserts an iron rod surrounded by a copper cylinder, fills it with an acidic solution. What happens next shouldn't be possible in 9th century Baghdad. Electricity flows. In 1936, archaeologist Wilhelm Koenig discovered strange clay jars in the ruins of ancient Baghdad. Each jar contained an iron rod surrounded by a copper cylinder. When filled with an acidic solution like vinegar or wine, they produced a measurable electric current. They were batteries. Made 1,800 years before Alessandro Volta invented the battery in 1800. But here's the real mystery. What were they used for? Some researchers believe they were used for electroplating, coating jewelry with thin layers of gold or silver. Others think they might have been used for pain relief, like primitive electrical therapy. The most intriguing theory? They might have been used to create electric lights in ancient temples. Imagine walking into a temple in 9th century Baghdad and seeing artificial light with no flame, no smoke, no fire. We've replicated these ancient batteries. They work. They produce about 1.1 volts. Enough to power a small LED light or give you a mild electric shock. But the knowledge of how to make them, what they were used for, and why the technology disappeared remains one of history's greatest mysteries.